Hey, in my previous video about Saturn, I touched a little bit upon Saturn's mythology, his nature, numerology, tarot, and current transit through Pisces. And today I would like to talk a little bit about Saturn in signs and houses. Now, my aim is to be brief but clear, so I will try to connect Saturn with each sign and with each house in a few short sentences. I would also like to mention that usually we connect houses with signs, like first house with Aries, second house with Taurus, and so on. But for the purposes of this video, I will try to separate these. So today, like I said, I will talk about Saturn in houses and signs in general. Let's begin. Saturn in the first house. Well, this placement indicates approaching life with a strong sense of responsibility. It has serious and cautious nature, need to control outside as well as the inside, and can indicate a lean build and noticeable bone structure. Now with Saturn in Aries, we can see that he is cautious about starting new things. It has fear of coming first with equal fear of not coming first. When coming to terms with Saturn's influence, one can become determined and able to cope with life's difficulties. Sporting activities could be beneficial for overall health. Moving on to Saturn in the second house. Here he suggests fear of material loss, but not actual poverty. Could indicate one must work very hard to achieve material security. According to some, this may be a good position for investing money. Saturn in the second house is not likely to win the lottery. Saturn in Taurus indicates a strong need for a steady climb towards the objectives in life. Working in construction, design, or architecture could be a good choice because it gives structure and form to the material used. Functional objects could be preferred over beautiful ones. Moving on to Saturn in the third house. This might indicate eternal student who later in life becomes an expert in some area of knowledge. Third house is connected with mind, so this position could suggest ability to make cautious long-term plans. Some might have speech impediments in early life or have interruptions in early education. Now Saturn in Gemini, here intellectual stability could be increased with this placing, especially useful to those with a musical talent. Economical with words, sometimes saying everything you need to know in a few words or few sentences. It may also show great observation powers. I have read in one of the books I own a fun little observation by the author saying that they knew a person with this position who likes to use a regular pencil for writing so that everything they wrote can be rubbed off, possibly to avoid misunderstandings. I find that to be quite Saturn in Gemini. Now Saturn in the fourth house, here there could be an emphasis on intuition, but it will be controlled. Severe home atmosphere in one form or another can usually be associated with Saturn's placement in the fourth house. Also, fears of homelessness, which are either conscious or unconscious, could appear, so one could have a strong desire for home ownership. Saturn in Cancer indicates concerns of safety and protection. The need for emotional security is very strong, and usually there is a strong desire to build a stable family life. This placement might require a freer expression of emotions, as there is a tendency to be timid with loved ones, which can cause problems in emotional relationships. Now moving on to Saturn in the fifth house. Here he might describe someone who is cautious in romantic matters. Creative talent could be easily present, but it is so slow to develop, and one may not be sure what exactly to do. Nevertheless, the urge to create is strong. Saturn in Leo could suggest a tendency to underestimate creative abilities. Generally speaking, there might be self-inflicted restrictions, maybe because of the extreme need to succeed. However, this placement strongly indicates abilities to cope with situations and to organize others, determination and strength of will. Saturn in the sixth house indicates ability to work very hard, but might suggest obsessive adherence to routine. Possible anxieties about body and health in general are present, and taking responsibility for health matters. Reluctance to change can be seen with this placement, and also persistence in whichever area of life. Saturn in Virgo indicates paying attention to detail, being efficient, precise, and hard-working. This placement can contribute to a tendency to worry about work and health matters. Disciplined, with a strong critical sense and a liking for perfection, sets a whole new set of standards for others, which of course can cause complaining. Others around him may not be very happy. Saturn in the 7th house has a serious attitude towards relationships. There will be no rushing into serious relationships, but once there, this placement could show a constant and faithful partner. On the other hand, depending on the aspects, commitment could be delayed or not even formed. Saturn here might show an older partner or marriage out of convenience, like for prestige or money. Saturn in Libra. Here he shows potential for balanced judgments. The issue of fairness is taken seriously. With this placement, at best, one realizes that cooperation is a key to successful living, and at the same time is realistic about the difficulties ingrained in the process. Some might feel that serious relationships or marriage is a burden, while others may be fearful of being on their own. Now moving on to Saturn in the 8th house. Here he might show fear of intimacy, fear of being controlled. Strong intuition, determination, and good concentration can be seen with this placement. Sometimes Saturn in the 8th house could suggest tendency towards oppression or even obsession of a sort. This placing might be good for anyone carrying financial responsibility for other people or for work related to insurance, banking, or even mining. Saturn in Scorpio, here business sense might be well indicated. Obsessive tendencies are likely to appear at some point in life. Here he has great sense of purpose and a lot of emotional energy, which could easily be spent on attaining objectives. Here, Saturn also suggests need for transformation in some shape or form. Saturn in the 9th house could indicate having a strong conscience and an ability to think seriously and deeply about important issues. One's opinions and ideas might not be very inventive, they are more conventional, and challenges of different sorts will be approached with extreme caution. Sometimes this position may show fear of physical traveling, like flying. And there is also a possibility of coming late to a higher education. Saturn in Sagittarius. Intellectual potential could be well developed here. Honesty and being straightforward in speech might be increased with this placement. Sometimes individuals with Saturn in Sagittarius could adhere to a strict moral and ethical code and even judge others for their moral choices. This can be a good placement for any kind of teacher. Saturn in the 10th house. Here he shows responsible attitude towards their vocational activities. There might be a strong feeling, a need for achievement, respect, but choice of career may come late. Careers involving structure, rules, regulations, time, they're usually seen here, and taking on huge responsibilities as well as working hard. Now, rewards will come, but due to their ability and hard work, and usually luck has nothing to do with it. Saturn in Capricorn. This indicates discipline, duty, obedience, sense of responsibility. This will all be prominent in one's life. Sometimes tradition may play an important role in life. Marked need to achieve something tangible and durable can be seen. This might suggest fear of failure, and one could make many personal sacrifices in order to achieve objectives. Physical exercise is encouraged with this position. Saturn in the 11th house may indicate having a few close friends, sometimes of an older generation. There can be a fear of not fitting in, and sometimes this placement shows taking all this too seriously. Saturn in the 11th house might suggest taking responsibility in groups, thus providing a feeling of safety and usefulness. Saturn in Aquarius, well, here Saturn may show a tendency to distance itself from other people while still being friendly. He might indicate a strong sense of social responsibility, taking full responsibility for the evolving progress of the group, and it also suggests being in friendly terms with authority figures, like, for example, with an employer. Saturn in the 12th house. A meaningful sense of vocation may be present. One might stretch any rules or limits, not always have strong self-discipline, and there might not be much desire for areas in life which demand a high standard. Sometimes this placement can show taking care of parents or elderly people. Saturn in Pisces shows sympathy and intuition, which should be expressed with caution. This position could indicate possession of a powerful imaginative force, which should be put to creative use, like writing or craft work. There is a potential for severe mood changes and a tendency to worry too much. And this is it. Saturn in the 12 houses and signs. Of course, there are a lot of factors that should be taken into account while creating and reading a natal chart, and these are just some general, let's say, guidelines. Thank you for being with me today. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the comment section below. I will be seeing you soon in my next video. Bye.